We did the Swiggy Dineout launch recently, right? And we had Farhan Akhtar and Shibani Dandekar, who are in real life a husband-wife couple. We starred them in our film. And during the launch of Swiggy Dineout, there was a controversy revolving around Swiggy. And people were anyways like trash talking about Swiggy a lot. And we had a push notification sent out which says, "Why is Shibani angry with Farhan?" Question mark.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in for today's episode of Kofluence Unplugged. I am your host, Aritra. Now, we know that navigating the world of social media and influencer marketing in itself can be extremely daunting. So, worry not, we are here to shed some light, have some meaningful conversations, and hopefully demystify the journey of influencer marketing with some of the biggest brand marketers and the most influential voices in the industry at the moment in India. So, what are you waiting for? Grab a drink, put on your headphones, and let's dive in. So, let's kickstart this episode with introducing our guest Bhagyashree. She started her career as an intern and then graduated to social media executive in just 10 days. And all of that began with a single tweet. Interesting, right? We would definitely like to hear more on that from her throughout the episode. She has a knack for engaging audiences and doing full scale launch for products for brands such as Cadbury, Nivea, and so on. She has built a team from scratch for companies, well known brands such as Swiggy, Dineout, eBay, and more. So please help me in welcoming Bhagyashree. Hi Bhagyashree, how are you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So is this your first podcast? Have you done
Um,
anything?
in a way, yes. I would definitely say yes. This is one of my first podcasts for sure. I did do a couple of very brief interviews and some interesting conversations earlier, but having like the spotlight on me definitely feels very, very new. So yeah.
I mean, we're glad to be the first ones to introduce you to this format.
Thank you so much.
But yeah, I think before we get into the more meatier side of the conversation, Bhagesh, if you could please tell us more about yourself, your professional as well as your personal,
Sure.
in a nutshell. How would
Sure,
you?
sure. Firstly, thank you for having me here, and thank you for such a beautiful introduction. You'd make me look really good on there. But so I've been working in the advertising and marketing industry for almost 12 years now. Like you mentioned, I started my career with just a tweet, and it got me a job at one of the advertising agencies in India. I worked with Grey, Jack in the Box, and Social Samosa, where I got to work with brands like Pepsi IPL to a Pyramid IPL, from Nivea Men, from launching Nivea Men's India to working with Samrat Atta. So I think I've worked with some 50, 70 brands in the very beginning of my career, which gave me a lot of perspective in terms of various industries, various audience segments, and trying to solve for different problems, right? And I thought, hey. This has been interesting, and working on smaller level campaigns really got me interested with consumer problems, figuring out people insights, and coming up with brand campaigns in general, right? So starting off on the social media side really got me interested on the brand side. So I thought, let me try out solving problem, instead of solving for like 50 brands at a time. Can I solve the million problems that a brand has from 0 to 1, right? So that's what got me to move on to the brand side. I worked with firstcry.com, where I was a social media strategist. Moving on, I went on to eBay India. I led the creative and digital efforts there. And then I was heading marketing at Dineout for the last 5 years, which got acquired by Swiggy. And yeah, that's in a nutshell been my journey. On the education side, of course, I've been a half engineer, and the tweet got me the job, got me my first job, and really steered the direction in which my career was moving ahead with. And yeah, here I am to see what I can do to brands to help them win people, minds, hearts, wallets, and also awards. So yeah, that's where I am.
That's amazing, Bhagishi. Now, since you mentioned that you kind of steered your journey from the agency background to more building brands.
Yeah.
So, how did your approach to brand building change with that change in your career path?
Sure. So I think when you're working on the advertising agency side, right, you get a brief, and that's the brief that you need to solve for on a momentary basis. But moving on to the brand side, really gets you so much closer to the business, so much closer to what are the problems of people, of consumers that you're trying to solve for, right? And that really gives you like a magnanimous view of the different things that you want to solve for. So I'm sure all the advertising folks watching this out there would think that, hey, this is just a brief, and I've got a particular problem to solve for, and you keep getting so much client feedback, right? It's annoying. The Friday late night briefs and the working on the weekends. I apologize on all of those fronts, but the point is that, when you're on the brand side, because you know all the work that goes behind in building the brand, right? And the kind of positioning that you want to do for the brand. Because as brand owners, we treat our brands like babies, and we really want the best positioning, the best output, and also a couple of learnings that we get from the couple of campaigns that we do previously, right? Steers us in the direction of how do we want to really build that brand. So I think that has been a really, really big learning experience for me. And especially for some of the brands where I've worked for almost 5 years, right? Like Dineout, I always thought, hey, I've been doing Dineout's brand marketing for such a long time. Moving on to Swiggy would be a cakewalk. But trust me, it was not easy. Convincing a platform where people are at the comfort of their homes and where Swiggy literally delivers everything at home, right? I now have to convince them to go out. So it's a huge problem. It's a mental model change that's required. And that really was a very, very interesting peak. So basically, what I'm saying is, on the brand side, there's literally a new problem to solve for on a daily, on a regular basis. And that's something that really excites me and interests me. And I continue to see what's the next big challenge that I want to solve for.
Yeah, I think definitely with the brand, when you're working for a particular brand, there are so many more problems to solve, and you can literally steer the direction in which a brand takes their communication, their outreach.
Yeah.
So that would have been a good learning curve for you, I'm sure.
Yes, that's definitely the case.
Yeah. So, so to all the viewers out there, today we'll be shedding light on a particular topic, which is user-generated content and how it is steering your social ads nowadays. So, for those unfamiliar, user-generated content, as it's more commonly known as UGC, could you please shed some light on that? Like for those who are unfamiliar with the subject,
Sure,
what is
sure.
UGC exactly?
Sure. So I think we've seen a lot of brands do this in the past also, right? Even before digital, social proofing was something that was commonly done in the offline segments, where putting the customer in the front stage and giving a real life example of how your product is being used or what your product looks like in the form of testimonials and various other efforts was something that was done previously, right? And now with the social transformation, right, the social age that we are in, the content, the availability of content is just so much more easier. And the fact that, just doing one-way ads where I shoot branded content and I sort of put it out in the form of ads with models or actors for that matter, more and more people are realizing that it's just another ad, right? Like you were watching TV today, you watch OTT, and you're bothered with ads and you hate it. Everybody hates ads, right? You're scrolling on social media trying to get entertained. You see an ad and it's just annoying, right? So I think that's the direction in which most brands are steering towards now, in the form of user-generated content, which basically is nothing but taking real-life stories and putting users, like people like you and me, to sort of put them up on their phones, up on our phones, on our televisions, to give a more realistic and a more believable, affirmative content. So that's most of what user-generated content stands for. Basically, to make believe, increase your trust in the brand, and connect with the audience a lot more effectively.
Right. So from celebrity endorsements to now, influencers are playing a big role with user-generated content and how they are shaping consumer,
Right.
perception. So how do you see that change, and how has that change, affected your brand marketing strategies?
Yeah, so this is a very interesting point, right, that you brought up because when I joined Dineout in my first 3 months, 6 months, we were building a brand campaign and we were shortlisting. We figured what our campaign was going to be like, and we were in the middle of shooting, and there were models, etc., that we had shortlisted. And I thought, this is going to be just another ad, which people like. We'll do hoardings, we'll do print, we'll have the ads put up on digital, and people are going to think it's just another ad all over again, right? But what if, right, if I put a familiar face out there, and because we didn't, Diner was a small brand, right? We weren't very big on our budgets, and we couldn't afford a Shah Rukh Khan or a Priyanka Chopra at that matter, right? So we thought, is there a way to create a brand with people and faces that you and I know of? Like the fact that everybody was so hooked onto Instagram. One of the ideas that we came up with was that, you know what, let's just scrap this idea. Let's not take models. Let's not look at celebrities also. What if we make influencers the face of our brand, right? And this is 2018, 2019 that I'm speaking of. And there was the first campaign that we did with Kusha Kapila, Ankush Bahugana, Srishti Dikshit, etc., where we shot videos with them. We put them on billboards. We put them on print ads. And we saw a massive success for our campaign, because what happened is that when you were scrolling on digital and when you saw that particular ad pop up, it was of somebody that you already follow, right? And that's when people really stopped, consumed it as a regular content and not just as an ad. And we saw some good 63% increase in our engagement rates, right? And that's something that we couldn't have possibly been able to achieve with a regular ad, with a regular model, right? So that's something that was a learning that we got. And an even interesting part to this was when we put them up on billboards, right? What I wanted people to do was, while they're driving, while they're on their way, you see like a million ads on your way, right? And you're like, okay, Shah Rukh Khan is promoting this, and Akshay Kumar is promoting this, but suddenly you see an influencer who you are following on your Instagram, on YouTube, etc., and suddenly on a billboard, and you're like, what is Kusha Kapila doing on this billboard, right? So that was a very interesting shock and awe that we were able to build for our brand. But even more interesting was the social currency that we sort of achieved. What it meant was, all of Kusha's friends spotted these ads, spotted these billboards, put them up on their social media saying that, Kusha, I spotted you on DND flyover or Bandra Valley ceiling, etc. And the beauty of that was, they didn't just tag Kusha Kapila on that ad, right? There was also the Dine Out logo. And that's something that helped us increase our brand presence, in get influencer content for free, if I may call it, and also increase that relatability to the content, right? And that's something that we've seen in the last few years.
I think all marketers have been there at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, what am I doing with my life? I'm working with so many influencers to begin with. I know I have all the resources with me.
Yeah.
I know how the industry works. Why not just try it out for myself? But
Yeah.
it's now, thinking of it is
Yeah,
one thing,
yeah.
but actually pursuing it is
Right.
very difficult.
Very difficult. Yeah, yeah. Like the kind of work that influencers put in to build their brands, their own brands, right? Is it's a crazy amount of effort. So the reason I got my first my first job, sorry, with my tweet, was that I was an early bird influencer on Twitter. And I remember going to a lot of my brand events as an influencer myself, right? And but of course, like, I put that on the back burner because I was focusing more on building the brands. But today, when I'm making my media plans and I'm looking at the costs that I pay to the influencers, and I'm always and always rethinking my career choices, and oh shit, maybe I should have just been an influencer, maybe. And that's something that all the marketers that I meet on a daily basis are thinking that, yeah, but it's difficult. It's not an easy path. But I definitely see influencer marketing grow tremendously and multifold. So it's not a bubble. There is no bursting of it happening, and I give a lot of credit to the influencers to kind of effort and the brands that they've built. It's amazing. It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, I think synergy is what has to
Yes.
happen between the brands, influencers.
Yeah.
If you have any platforms that are helping you with your influencer outreach, I think there has to be a seamless communication, transparency going on, and with
Correct.
that, authentic content will definitely shine.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I think also with brands repurposing a lot of influencer-led campaigns and their content for social ads. Now there is another thing that's in the picture for content usage. So how do you approach it? How do you define content rights? Who can use that particular piece in their marketing channels?
Yeah.
How do you approach that?
Yeah, I'm sure the people watching this know the reason why I'm smiling for, because brand managers are facing this big question mark of who owns this content, right? Because I'm paying an influencer to create content for my brand, it's automatically assumed that I own this piece and I can use it to whatever you for whatever channel that I want to use it. That's how typically brands would think, and it's fair also, right? That the fact that I'm paying you to do this content, but at the end of the day, from the content creator side, it's like I put in my effort. This is my piece of content. It has my face on it. It has my brand value on it. How do I let you use this content beyond the agreed upon terms, right? So I think there's a lot of um, development in this area where now influencers are moving to a stage of asking brands to buy usage rights from their content. And I think I don't have the right and wrong answer here, to be very honest, of who's right and who's wrong. But that's the direction in which our industry is moving. And at least the way that we normally run our influencer campaigns is that, when there's a bunch of influencers that you work with, right? And certain content works for certain times, and the other times certain influencer content may not work, right? It's all at the end of the day what a user consumes. So what we do is we wait and watch. We partner with influencers, we create content, we gauge on how the engagement rate is like for a couple of days, and depending on that, then we choose to purchase rights from the influencer in order to amplify the reach of that particular content to reach out to more users that possibly would be interested in my brand. So I think these are the baby steps that we're sort of taking. But I think it's an interesting time also because let's be honest, right? When you do a brand campaign, when you're doing it with a celebrity or with models, for example, right? For before every shoot, we do take usage rights, whether it's channel usage, whether it's how many years, whatever the duration of the usage rights is, in a video format, in a print format, etc. So it's only fair, I think, if even for influencers, if it goes in that same direction.
So, Bhagyashree, with your extensive experience of working with influencer and influencer marketing campaigns, what are some of the trends you see emerging in the near future, and what can we expect in 2024, you'd say?
Oh, okay. Um, I think the way influencer marketing has grown so quickly, right? And with everyone just waiting for the bubble to burst and thinking that today you're an influencer, what are you going to be next, right? This is a fear that a lot of influencers have always faced with. But to answer your question, I'm honestly a little scared because if I say it out loud and if this becomes true, um our career choices, yours and mine and yours, are going to be definitely in question. So the way at least I see influencer marketing growing multifold, I won't just answer for 2024, but maybe in the near future is right. In the near future is twofold. One is private labels, right? We see a lot of actors, celebrities trying to become influencers, right? There's Deepika Padukone who's launched her own private brand.
Selena
Celebrities.
Gomez.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Selena
they all
Gomez
have their
getting
makeup
into
brands.
makeup brands, creating their own brands, right? And we also saw e-commerce industry creating private labels of their own using celebrities. So there's HRX by Hrithik Roshan. There's one by Anushka Sharma also. Now, the next big thing that I honestly feel where influencers can take it to the next level altogether is brands approaching influencers to put them as the face value for their brands. So imagine creating private label brands uh, with influencers, co-built with influencers, and they actually presenting those brands to you. I think some of the influencers have already started doing a bit of this, but on their own pace, right? We know Larissa has her own jewelry brand. We know Finance with Sharon having his own masterclass and his book come out, etc. But I think the really next big step here is of brands actually creating new brands, smaller brands, emerging brands, private labels with these influencers. So that's one very big step, which I possibly see as the next big thing happening. The second one, which scares me, which will scare more brand managers like me, is the Michael Jordan route. Yeah, Michael Jordan, what he did with Nike, got a brand equity, continues to earn every piece of profit from every time a Nike shoe is sold, is something that influencers could also possibly do, right? There and we already know, like I will not put the numbers out there, of course, but you and I know the costs for one reel, one story, etc., that most of the big influencers charge, right? And maybe smaller brands don't have the funds to invest in those. What if influencers started getting brand equity from smaller brands, from startups, right? So it's basically you promote them, you get a little part of investment in this brand, and every time the brand grows, you grow multitude with it.
I think you're making me question my career path now, and I think a lot of the viewers would be thinking that too. I mean, what am I doing with my life?
I want you.
Yeah, but yeah, quite conceivable actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds. Bhagyashree, so you've been working with Kofluence for some time now. How would you say your experience has been so far? And would you recommend influencer marketing platforms like Kofluence to other brand marketers?
Oh, I think you guys make our life super easy, right? I remember the times where I started influencer marketing way back in the day, where we used to manually hunt for influencers, look at their followers, individually go on their content and see how their organic content works and how their paid content works, etc. And I'm sure most people still continue to do this, but it's so time consuming. And I know of influencers only to the point of my social following, right? I'm sure there are like a bunch of influencers out there which I do not know of, but my users do. So I can't be relying on just my personal experience with Instagram or the influencers that I follow or I know. But it's all about an expert giving us that guidance, right? Or keeping us abreast of who's the next big influencer, who's an emerging star. So I think you guys are like the casting agency for us. Yeah.
We like to call ourselves the knowledge partners.
But you are that's truly what you are. And the even the kind of platform that Kofluence has, right, it was a very interesting build that I saw, which makes identifying influencers really easy, and also turnaround campaigns really quick, right? So I think I think it's super helpful, and I strongly do recommend this approach, because let's be honest, everybody's moving to a tech to the tech ways of doing things, and it's so much more better and organized. So I'm very very pro knowledge partners like Kofluence, who offer this kind of a platform to us and make our life easy.
So I think we're at the tail end of the episode, and I was wondering if we could do a short rapid fire round.
Let me grab a water
Yes,
first.
please do.
Okay.
All good?
Yes.
Cool. So I'll get started. The first question for you is, if you had to use an emoji to showcase your thoughts on influencers, If you had to encompass influencer marketing into one emoji, what would that be?
I think the dancing girl. Yeah, because they entertain, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's full of entertainment, always making us smile. So yeah.
Right. Okay. Describe your most like your dream celebrity collaboration. Who would that be?
Can I please say Vijay Verma? Please.
I mean,
I want to work with this man. I
we
want
wouldn't
to.
blame you.
Yeah, yeah. I think Vijay Verma. Yeah, that. I'm working with Zoomcar right now, so I really hope my founder gets convinced to work with Vijay Verma very soon.
So, if you had to pick any fictional character to be the brand ambassador for Zoomcar, who would that be?
Wow, that is super rapid. Uh, there was this movie, Tarzan. I think, yeah, like Tarzan for
Tarzan the
Zoomcar.
Wonder Car? Are you
Yes,
talking about
Tarzan the
that?
Wonder Car,
Right.
where the car talks to you. Imagine like you rent a Zoom car and the car talks to you. I'm
Sounds
scared.
sounds interesting.
Yeah, so that's the best I could think of. Yeah.
Okay. Um, what is the most bizarre viral trend you've seen as of now? And more importantly, have you secretly participated in it?
Okay. Um, a very bizarre viral trend. There are so many of these. Okay, yeah. I'm sure all of you guys will agree with me, but the minute we saw these ridiculous videos of a gulab jamun ice cream and a samosa ice cream, and I don't know, cake vada pav, I think the people who started this trend, I will not say any further, but that was really, really bad.
Right.
The Fanta Maggie, the gulab jamun, whatever. I'm sorry, but and I'm very proud that I did not participate in this trend.
So, what would you say was the most hilarious or strange feedback or comment you have ever received on any of your campaigns?
Oh yeah, this is an interesting one. So we did the Swiggy Dineout launch recently, right? And we had Farhan Akhtar and Shibani Dandigar, who are in real life a husband-wife couple. We starred them in our film, and during the launch of Swiggy Dineout, there was a controversy revolving around Swiggy, and people were anyways like trash talking about Swiggy a lot. And we had a push notification sent out which says, "Why is Shibani angry with Farhan?" Question mark. And we saw a couple of users who were obviously agenda oriented and who were just looking to trash Swiggy from any reason possible. And they made this into a Hindu Muslim thing. And it was so hilarious and so weird that we just could not decipher that how did somebody connect the dots and put up a comment like this where they're saying making it all religious. So I mean, yeah, like it's really bizarre, and that's something that we did not anticipate at all.
Would have been a great learning, I'm sure.
Learning, yes, but like let's be honest, right? We've seen from the Tanish controversies and some other brands also who unnecessarily got pulled into religious sentiments. But as brand managers, all of us are so at the edge of the knife, right? Every time we are building campaigns and when we're figuring out what the theme and the scripts of our campaigns, etc., are going to be. But thinking about why somebody would make it religious, make put a religious agenda between somebody who's already married was just beyond me. I mean, I don't think anybody could have thought about this. So
Right.
it was super bizarre.
So yeah, I think with that, I think we're done. Bhagyashree, how was your experience? Do you have any closing thoughts to share with our viewers?
Oh, I'm sweating. uh, it was a very interesting experience. I think the team here made me super comfortable. And thank you for having me here. I'm glad that I could voice my thoughts today, help people learn or get to know what went behind a couple of campaigns that we did, and the pain point which most brand managers face. So all the agency folks out there, I really hope you pity us. But yes, thank you for the stage, thank you for the platform, and thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being here. It was a pleasure to host you.
Thank you.
With that, we are at the end of the episode. Thank you to each and every one of you who tuned in faithfully for every episode. You guys are the real OGs. And if this is your first episode, please do follow our Kofluence Unplugged YouTube channel. Ensure that your notifications are turned on. And if you have not subscribed already, please do subscribe. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep Kofluence.